This is one of the great untold stories of the Iraq War. How, just over a year after the invasion, the United States funded a sectarian police commando force that set up a network of torture centers to fight the insurgency. It was a decision that helped fuel a sectarian civil war between Shia and Sunni that ripped the country apart. At its height, it was claiming 3,000 victims a month. This is also the story of James Steele, the veteran of America's dirty war in El Salvador. He was in charge of the US advisors who trained notorious Salvadoran paramilitary units to fight left-wing guerrillas. In the course of that civil war, 75,000 people died, and over 1 million people became refugees. Steele was chosen by the Bush administration to work with General David Petraeus to organize these paramilitary police commandos. This is the only known Iraqi video footage of Steele, a shadowy figure, always in the background, observing, evaluating. The man on his left is his collaborator, Colonel James Kaufman. He reported directly to General David Petraeus, who funded this police commando force from a multi-billion-dollar fund. The thousands of commandos that Steele let loose came to be mostly made up of Shia militias, like the Badr brigades, hungry to take revenge on the Sunni supporters of Saddam Hussein. Steele oversaw the commandos, mostly made up of militias. They were torturing detainees for information on the insurgency.
He hears the scream of the other guy who's being tortured, as we speak. There's the blood stains in, the corner of the desk in front of him.
The things that went on there, drilling, murder, torture, the ugliest sorts of torture I've ever seen.
The US was desperate for information on the insurgency, and Steele's expertise was turning that information, obtained from thousands of detainees, into actionable intelligence.
Colonel Steele is one of the few people who understands how to conduct intelligence-driven operations against operational cells of an insurgency or terrorist organization.
The Iraqi leader of these feared commandos was Adnan Thabit. In the city of Samarra, his commandos and their American advisors turned the main library into a detention center, where torture was a routine occurrence.
We're in a room in the library interviewing Steele, and I'm looking around, I see blood everywhere,
There were these terrible screams. There was somebody shouting, Allah, 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 but it wasn't, kind of religious ecstasy or something like that. These were screams of pain and terror.
The prisoners do start shouting. They are a bit like whirling dervishes. They love to scream, Allah, Allah.
We lost the support of a lot of Iraqi citizens who became very cynical and very anti-American. Even the ones who were friendly with us couldn't understand why we were allowing this to happen.
The commandos quickly grew into a powerful 12,000-strong force with a national network of torture centers. They became involved in death squad activities. They were completely infiltrated by the Shia militias. But General Petraeus claimed not to see that coming.
We kept hearing this all the time, Martin, that this or that. To find the absolute evidence of this has actually been quite difficult.
Pretty much the whole world in Iraq knew that the police commandos were a Badr brigade. He must have known about the death squad activities. It was common knowledge across Baghdad.
The Bush administration also denied any knowledge of these death squad activities.
I've not seen reports that hundreds are being killed by roving death squads at all. I'm not going to get into speculation like that.
But the bodies were turning up every day on the streets of Baghdad. Many of the victims were so badly tortured they could not be identified. Those who couldn't be named found a final resting place in desolate town dumps like this one. A rusty tin can marks each grave. James Steele was decorated by Donald Rumsfeld for his work in Iraq. He lives in Texas. He is registered with a Motivational Speakers Bureau to give speeches about counterinsurgency and his experience in conflict zones.